Thank you for your company this evening. Welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight. As the final outbound flight leaves Doncaster Sheffield Airport, talks continue about its future. We've got the latest efforts to keep it open. We'll be live from the airport. Also tonight, the impact of dementia in younger people as a new campaign launches. We hear how one family is dealing with the devastating disease.
I can't live a life that is always looking over the shoulder, about dying today.
For him to lose his mind when he's got such a great mind is torture.
Leeds Council defends roadworks in the city centre as travellers face huge delays to their commute. And it's Halloween. We're live at the spookiest house in Harrogate. And on your marks, get set, carve! Challenging a pumpkin carving maestro to shape a creepy classic in just 20 minutes. Find out how he gets on at the end of the show.
Turning wet through Halloween evening, but what about tomorrow and the rest of the week? Join me for the very latest.
Hello, good to be back with you this evening. Time is running out, but last-ditch talks are continuing about the future of Doncaster Sheffield Airport, despite the final outbound flight taking off on Saturday. Now, the owners, Peel, are planning to close the airport because it's not profitable. The last inbound flight is due on Friday. However, Doncaster's mayor has launched a legal action and claims a credible offer has been made to buy the site. Corinne Wheatley is there for us now. Corinne, they're fighting to the last moment. What's the latest tonight?
Thanks, Amy. Yes, you're absolutely right. And that phrase, time is running out to save Doncaster Airport, is one we've heard many times over the last few weeks and months. But it's no truer than it is now, with just a few days left before the final inbound flight here. Now, the final outbound flights left over the weekend, as you say, the final Wizz Air flight on Saturday night and the final TUI flight leaving on Friday evening. I think we can see some video now of emotional scenes on the tarmac as TUI staff waved off that final flight and hugged each other. Clearly an emotional time for people who were saying goodbye to their colleagues and the jobs here. We have had some passengers coming through the airport this evening, people arriving on a flight from Ibiza, and the anger and frustration among those passengers was palpable.
I think Peel are doing quite well out of it. The council put the infrastructure in, they put a new road in, a rail link, and so whatever Peel decide to do, they've got everything on a plate, and they ought to get it sold and keep it as an airport.
I'd like the politicians to get their fingers out, help us all in Doncaster. You've just made us a city status, and now you're taking everything away from us. What's the point? I'm filming.
Well, I just think it's awful that they're going to shut it. It's not just us that fly, it's a lot of people, and a lot of people like the jobs and everything else, but they're not going to do out for us.
What would your message be to the owners of the airport and other people?
Get the finger out and get something done.
Well, the reason Peel want to close the airport is because they say it's not profitable, it's never been profitable. But this, of course, has a huge impact on the hundreds of people who work here. Josh is the GMB union rep for some of those employees. Josh, what kind of impact is this having on people?
Just the uncertainty around it all since they made the announcement about the strategic review, and then obviously the decision to close the airport because the owners don't believe it's viable to keep it running.
And is there a sense that people have any hope that there will be a resolution?
Yes, there's hope, yep. Obviously there's someone's come forward with an offer, so we'll just see what happens and hope for the best.
Well, thanks very much, Josh. Well, Josh mentioned that offer there. We know from the Mayor of Doncaster, Ros Jones, that negotiations continued over the weekend between Peel, the owner of the airport, and that potential buyer. And she says that Doncaster Council is throwing the kitchen sink at trying to save the airport. We're expecting an update on those negotiations in the next 24 or 48 hours. But as it stands, the final inbound flight will touch down here at Doncaster Sheffield Airport on Friday.
Corinne, thank you. And we will, of course, keep you posted on any changes that come up. Next tonight, we're going to look at the impact of young onset dementia as the wife of a man from North Yorkshire living with the condition tells Look North it's torture watching the disease take hold. Now, it's estimated almost 1 million people in the UK are living with dementia. And around 1 in 13 of those people getting the symptoms, they get them before the age of 65, which seems so young, doesn't it? Today, a 10-year campaign has been launched by the charity Dementia Forward to provide a voice and support for those living with the disease. We'll speak to the charity's chief executive in a moment. But first, let me tell you about the campaign, because it's been inspired by the story of this man, 64-year-old Jonathan Beardsworth, who was diagnosed with the condition last September. Our health correspondent Jamie Coulson has been to meet Jonathan and his wife Jo.
I can't live a life that is always looking over the shoulder, am I dying today? I have no idea. But I don't want to be spending time worrying about it.
I hate it. Dementia. It's a terrible disease. For him to lose his mind when he's got such a great mind is torture. Oh gosh, do you remember this one? It was Pedro's 50th.
Just over a year ago, Jonathan Beardsworth was diagnosed with young onset dementia. The 64-year-old, who recently retired after a successful career in the music and film industries, sought help after noticing he was struggling with memory and words.
The amount of memory that I had in here was pretty useful. There's a great lump of it being removed and of little use, frankly, in that respect. But there are other parts that will still work perfectly well as it stands at the moment.
We just don't know how long you've got, what's going to happen, what your capacity is going to be going forwards. It's sad to think that, the guy who you're married to, who is super intelligent, who you've had loads of great times with, could be dwindling away. So this is Jonathan's book, and this is where he writes things down to help him remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just to make sure that I don't have to strangle myself finding a way of remembering what I'm struggling to remember.
I suppose a good day is not thinking about Jonathan having this disease, because you don't notice it. You don't notice it as much. I mean, when he's playing his music, he absolutely loves it. He doesn't struggle to play the guitar. And then I might be reminded because, he may ask me, how do you work this, or how's something? And that's frustrating in the moment. Then you remember that he's got it, and it's just a kick in the belly. So we've got the You and Me Dementia Forward campaign.
Jonathan's story is the inspiration behind a major new campaign aiming to shine a light on young onset dementia. Devised with the help of Jonathan's best friend and the charity Dementia Forward, the You and Me campaign will address many of the issues faced by those in his situation.
Just being able to talk to somebody else who has a similar mind or a similar circumstance is a massive help, to just so you don't feel like you're the only one.
I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's something that you don't want in your house. It's something you don't want anyone you love to get. You've just got to be in the moment, really, and not plan too far ahead.
Would I change it if I could? Of course I would. But if I were fortunate enough to be able to keep it at arm's length as it is presently, I'd settle for that at the moment.
Well, joining me now is Jill Quinn, the Chief Executive of Dementia Forward, which supports people across York and North Yorkshire. Jill, it seems so unusual seeing someone of Jonathan's age with dementia, but when you look at the statistics, 1 in 13, it's not that rare, is it?
No, and they're without a doubt understated.
What sort of difficulties do families like Jonathan's face when they have this diagnosis?
I think it starts with the fact that there's a lack of awareness around it. Even getting a diagnosis is difficult. Apparently the average time can be as much as 4 years. So there's that frustration. But also people of that age, they've got mortgages, families, work life, they're physically active, they need that physical activity. So, and the fact that there is not the provision.
So tell me about the support that is available for them.
Okay, so it's very sporadic. We didn't realise until Jonathan told us. So Jonathan and Joe went down to London. Jonathan is part of a research programme at Imperial College. And they said to him, in some respects, you've won the lottery because you've got young onset dementia, but you live in North Yorkshire and at least there is a service there. Now, we're very proud of that because that's our service, but it made us realise that actually there are huge gaps around the country where it's not available.
Yeah, everyone should have that same support that Jonathan's able to access. In terms of the support, it's not one size fits all, is it? Because someone like Jonathan is really active, very healthy, not necessarily the same support that you might need for someone in their 80s or 90s with the condition.
No, that's the biggest part of the problem, really. We started by providing outward bound respite days, and then we realised it needed more than that. So when somebody first makes that call for support, they need to know they're going to be in an appropriate service that's going to hold them and deal with the issues they've got at their age.
So tell me about this campaign and what you hope to achieve from it.
OK. We tried to simplify it. It's huge. We need to attack it from all angles. But the three sort of top-line priorities are, first of all, to raise awareness and, in doing so, reduce the stigma around the condition. And
can I just pick up on that really briefly? When you say awareness, what are the signs to look out for someone who may be suffering with this condition?
Yeah, they will vary. It's a complicated illness. Everybody's different, so they will vary. I think the general advice would be, if you notice, if I use Jonathan as an example, he is a real wordsmith, and in his work he used words, and he noticed in an important meeting that he couldn't find the words. If that happens more than once, it's worth thinking about getting it checked out. It's a level of confusion that's not normal.
Jill, thank you so much for coming in, and let's hope that this campaign does raise more awareness and get people the support that they need.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next tonight, Leeds City Council have defended their decision to carry out 2 sets of major roadworks in the city centre, with one business owner claiming terrible traffic has cost him a £20,000 contract. Drivers say that commutes into Leeds are also taking up to 30 minutes longer. The council say work at Armley, Geistery and City Square has had to happen at the same time. Abigiola reports.
When Eric Sloan set up his own window cleaning business, he was delighted to win a contract worth £20,000 cleaning windows in the city centre. But recent roadworks meant he was spending longer stuck in traffic than working and was arriving late to other jobs outside of town.
Over the 4 visits, because I were in town 4 days a week, you're looking at between 16 and 20 hours a month, and we just couldn't sustain that.
This is our livelihood, and if we hadn't had the other work in place, our business would be over, and that's a huge deal. And it's not just about us. There's many other businesses that have been really impacted by the whole charade.
City Square in Leeds is closed to through traffic. Diversions are in place ahead of its permanent closure to cars in February next year. At the same time, there are roadworks on Armley Gyratory, which is being upgraded to deal with the traffic that will no longer be able to use City Square. And Crown Point Road is being altered to make space for walking, cycling and buses. That's due to finish in March.
And for commuters trying to navigate those roadworks, they're seeing journey times increase.
Getting in to work in the morning is a nightmare. They're coming down Whitehall Road, and I know a couple of my colleagues do as well, and they've had some problems getting in. It's just like bumper to bumper traffic.
And I've noticed that I'm coming across from West Leeds, so it seems to be backing up quite a lot more, adding about maybe 20-25 minutes onto my journey, I'd say, on average.
It's just disruption, and we're not driving here anymore. Because we can't get from A to B. You've got to go A to Z and then go back to B again.
Leeds City Council say the work is essential and congestion is being constantly monitored with traffic light adjustments where necessary.
I thank everybody for their patience, but as the saying goes, you don't make an omelette without cracking eggs, and we have a vision, especially for this area of Leeds. I would advise people, if they are having problems, to contact the Connecting Leeds team at Leeds City Council with any issues they have.
For Eric, the only solution was to ditch the city centre work. Commuters, however, face disruption into spring next year. Abby Jaola, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Leeds Bradford Airport operated 600 more night flights than allowed this summer. That's according to campaigners. The Group for Action of Leeds Bradford Airport have made a formal complaint to Leeds City Council about the number of night flights. The council says it will investigate. A spokesperson for LBA said, "We work closely with Leeds City Council on all matters relating to the airport's planning consent, and we will liaise with them on any issues raised in respect to how that consent is implemented." BBC local radio stations will have a significant number of programmes cut under new plans. The proposals mean Radio Leeds, Radio Sheffield and York will keep their current schedule from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m, but after that, shows will be shared. Live sports programming will not be affected. The BBC says it wants to prioritise digital content. You are watching Monday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. Can our pumpkin artist finish his masterpiece by the end of the show? Here he is right now. Stay tuned to find out how he gets on.
In the Championship, Sheffield United moved up to 4th after a 2-0 win against West Bromwich Albion, with the former Bradford City striker, Ollie McBurney, getting in on the goals, making it 2-2 for the striker. Huddersfield Town remain in the bottom 2, but got a much-needed win against Millwall. The only goal came from a speculative long-range strike from Yuta Nakayama inside the opening 10 minutes. There was disappointment for Rotherham United as they lost 1-0 to a creative Cardiff City goal. In League One, Sheffield Wednesday claimed a comfortable 4-2 victory over relegation-threatened Burton, Barry Bannon with the pick of the bunch. 2 goals saw Barnsley beat Forest Green Rovers in the first ever meeting between the two teams. Bradford City drew against Crawley Town this weekend on long winger Dion Pereira, scoring for the Bantams. Harrogate Town suffered a defeat against an AFC Wimbledon side who snatched the points with an 88th minute winner. And Danny Schofield got his first victory as Doncaster Rovers manager with a 1-0 win over Gillingham. It was another big win for the men in the Rugby League World Cup over the weekend as England hammered Greece 94-4 in Sheffield. Meanwhile, the Women's England squad are getting ready to start their World Cup campaign in Leeds tomorrow. They'll take on Brazil at Headingley, who've never competed at a World Cup before. It means England are the heavy favourites. England's training camp has been taking place in Leeds, and the squad are calling on the help of their fans.
Please get vocal. Please give us some volume. You know, there's a big advantage to being a home team, and one thing, you know, when I arrived in England, I just loved the atmosphere that rugby league crowds provide and the chanting, and I just can't wait for that because that will really give us a boost. So get down to Headingley.
In ice hockey, the Sheffield Steelers stole the show as they beat the top of the table Guildford Flames 4-3. The Flames started strong, taking a 2-goal lead and continue to frustrate the Steelers, who seem to run out of ideas on how to get back in the game. But perseverance prevailed as the Steelers mounted a comeback with 3 unanswered goals in the third period to win it.
Will you be trick-or-treating tonight? I think you can guess what I'll be doing. Halloween seems to be getting bigger and spookier by the year, whether you love it or loathe it. Christian, you saw carving the pumpkin a little bit earlier. We gave him 20 minutes to carve a masterpiece. We're going to talk to you in a moment, Christian, but first of all, we're going to head to Harrogate because some homes and business owners have really been getting into the spirit of it. Sally Hurst is at a particularly creepy address in Harrogate for us tonight.
Absolutely, yes. If there was a candidate for the haunted house of this region, it would be this one, because not only is it a 19th century building, smoke pouring out of it, but opposite there is a cemetery. Now, Master of Ceremonies tonight for the spooktacular light show is Mark Hinchliffe. Mark,
good evening,
you're out
and welcome.
after dark again.
Welcome to the home of a vampire here on Grove Road. There's been a fantastic turnout, and we've got the light show on till 8 o'clock this evening. The kids have really made an effort, and I think with all the doom and gloom that's going on in politics, what better way to celebrate something than a bit of a party. The whole community's come to town, and everybody's given in the time. Christian Bailey designed the artwork for this, And Rick has done a great job on the lighting, and it's just been fantastic.
And Halloween is getting bigger each year, it seems, isn't it? It seems to be even bigger than Bonfire Night now. Why is it so special to you?
Why is it so special? I think it's the kids, isn't it? They just make an effort. They're all dressing up, and it's getting mad. I mean, it's like some mad sort of drag queen kind of meets Halloween, and everybody's gone bonkers in a nice way.
We can speak to some of these kids who have made a big effort. Over here we've got Charlie, aka Wednesday. Wednesday, I want to have a look at this special handbag. Tell me about this.
Well, we ripped the head off of one of my baby Annabelle dolls and added string into it, so then it would be like a handbag and I could put all the sweets in it.
Very practical, no mercy there. And over here we've got a ninja. How many sweets have you got?
A
Ton. And what about you over here? We've got Swamp Monster, and tell me, are you going to eat all your sweets at once?
Yeah.
Don't make yourself too sick now, will you?
I won't.
Brilliant. So, of course, this isn't the only spooky house. We've been out filming today at a house in York where they've really gone to town. There's a 72-year-old grandma there, Linda Starkey, who spends 3 to 4 hours every day adding items to her house. Absolutely brilliant pictures. But if you are out tonight trick-or-treating in Harrogate, do take care, won't you? Because you never know. Watch your back. Well, you might get a scare.
Oh, I know where I'll be heading tonight. Sally, thank you. Christian Russell is from Skelnerthorpe near Huddersfield, and he has turned pumpkin carving into a real art form. It nearly turned into a horror show, didn't it? You cut your thumb earlier.
I did, yeah.
But we're good, we're all right.
Yeah.
20 minutes, look at that! That's incredible! Now tell me, Christian, what are the tools that you need? Because those little flimsy kits that I use last 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, they're not great. I mean, I use a sort of kitchen knife to take the lid off, leaves a nice smooth cut into it, and then an ice cream scoop to scoop it out is the best tool to scoop the pumpkin out. And then it's just a fruit paring knife to cut the eyes out, the nose, the mouth, and then apply, whittle the sort of little edge bits that then glow through, as you can see, through the light.
It's all about the tools then.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Now, you are a graphic artist, aren't you?
I
How
am,
did you get into doing this carving?
Actually, about 12 years ago, I sort of did a half-decent one with just a kitchen knife that anyone's got, put it on my doorstep. People said, oh, can I take a photo of it? And it sort of exploded from there, really.
And it literally did explode. Look at the size of that. That is incredible. Tell me about that huge pumpkin we've just seen.
That huge one, that was about 920 kilograms, and it unofficially broke the world record that year for the largest carved pumpkin in the world.
Oh, and look at that one. Oh, the detail is incredible. You've even got all the creases in the faces as well.
Yes, that's what the benefit of using the tools you can get, especially like modelling into clay. You're basically drawing onto the pumpkin.
That's wonderful. And for you, when does Halloween start?
I had my first pumpkin mid-August, but sort of it gets going sort of 1st of October, the first weekend of October.
Right. And you'll be carving all the way through until... Any more planned after tonight?
Yes, I've got a boot full of pumpkins. I'll be carving up till Christmas, Easter. They last about a year and a half.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Well, listen, we've been here on social media today. A lot of people are worried about how to dispose of them. Very briefly, what do you do with the pumpkins once you've carved them?
I mean, you can either put it in a garden compost bin, or don't leave any of the pumpkin flesh on the ground because it's very bad for hedgehogs. Or they make very good autumnal bird feeders.
So keep them high up?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, listen, here is one you made earlier, and I think the resemblance is uncanny.
Oh, very good. Very well.
Can you get a closer
Well, in
look?
my day, it used to be Swedes. Whatever happened to carving out a Swede?
Oh, they're very hard.
It's hard work, and I have to say, I mean, it's very good.
It's amazing, isn't it? He's got that little cheeky, evil grin, Paul. He's got it just right.
I have to say, I do love your Halloween dress. I don't know where you got that one from.
Hey, listen, I've got one for you as well.
Oh, lovely. Can I show you a couple of pictures then? Because that's fantastic. Look at Whitby Abbey there. That was taken this weekend. Thanks for that, Super Ted. And the other thing going on weather-wise at the moment, the strength of the wind, it really is adding to the electricity mix. At the moment, we're generating around about 35% of all our electricity through wind turbines, and certainly it's going to be a very windy week, which is good news. And of course, it's mild as well. So keep the pictures coming in. We've got addresses on your screen, Twitter, Instagram, and on the Weather Watcher website. So we've got some rain in the forecast. If you're out tricking and treating this evening, it is going to turn wet. 1 or 2 rumbles of thunder are possible as that rain moves up from the south, and then a really unsettled spell of weather. You can see how tightly packed isobars there are. It's going to be very windy, turning wet second half of Wednesday. If this stays the same, we're in between systems on Thursday and Friday, so it's not going to look too bad Thursday and Friday, dry with some sunshine, but stays unsettled at the weekend. Right, we're looking down to the south and down to the west because this is the weather system that's now bringing rain northwards. So after perhaps a dry start, we'll see showery outbreaks of rain, some heavy and thundery rain to push it from the south and later in from the west. But look at these temperatures for the 1st of November in the morning, 11 Celsius. That is 52 degrees Fahrenheit. So tomorrow's high water times in Filey at 9:28, Bridlington at 9:40. So it's a wet start in the morning. That rain moving quickly out of the way eastwards. It soon brightens up with some sunshine and perhaps a few scattered showers through the afternoon. But once that rain gets out of the way, it's not looking too bad. The focus of the heavy showers, perhaps South Yorkshire and the North Midlands later in the day. But another mild day, not quite as mild as today, but we're still looking at temperatures 14 degrees, which is around about 3 degrees above average for early November. Further ahead then, a windy day, very windy day on Wednesday. Bright start, some rain later. Not looking too bad Thursday and Friday. Some patchy rain to come on Bonfire Day, but the evening may well be dry. And that's the forecast.
There's something missing.
You go. Thanks very much. Would you like me to put it on?
I would. Look, he's even got the fangs right, Paul.
It's very good, is that, actually? No, I want you to do that on a Swede next.
That's it from us. Good night. Happy Halloween.